Gravely. You can save up to 20% on Gravely commercial mowers during the Gravely Mow the Distance sales event starting April 9th. Visit your local Gravely dealer today.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at ColumbusEquipment.com.
Gem City Water, we're a local veteran-owned company that offers affordable reverse osmosis systems and installs them for free. Get pure, great-tasting water right from your own tap. Visit GemCityWater.com for more info.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Look, I love the Reds as much as you do, but why does this team's batting average look like the 1990s gas prices? If you don't remember, they were low. Now, back to the Justin Kinner Show, right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
All right, there's no need for the voice guy to be taking shots at the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, they just swept the Rangers over the weekend. They're 6-3. They're second in the division. They have us feeling a whole certain different way about them here today on a Monday than what we did on a Friday. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Justin Kinner Show, off and rolling here to kick off the week. Ron Howard, he's already in the chat waiting for us. He says, Reds sweep, but hitting still remains a concern. That's that negativity I love to kick off a show with right there, Ron. But some say that would be negativity. Maybe me, but Ron, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. We're going to talk about the Reds sweep over the Rangers over the weekend. Again, on Friday, we were doing the show, and things got a little heated between me and Reds fans. I was fed up. I was sick and tired of watching the same struggles already in the first, handful of series to kick off the season that we saw all of last year that put them in the spot that said, hey, we need to go out there and improve this lineup, and they didn't really do a whole hell of a lot to do that. Reds flipped the switch over the weekend, but it wasn't the offense that did it. It was the pitching, and more pitching. That's what we're going to talk about here to open up the show. ESPN put out an MLB Watchability Index. Where do the Reds fall on that watchability index? I'm actually surprised at how high they are up on this list, and that's not me being negative. I just find this team to be tough to watch at times. They're higher on this MLB Watchability Index list than what I was anticipating, if you will. We'll talk about that coming up around the corner. Gino Auriemma against Don Staley. If you want to talk about the most talked about, I mean, it was the most overblown story in the history of sports. That's how bad the women's basketball tournament was this year. No, Kinner is not sexist. No, Kinner is not dogging women's basketball. That tournament has been hot garbage this year. And Gino and Don, that was the most relevant thing that happened the entire tournament. I mean, even the national championship was a dud. We'll talk about that more coming up. And then the Big Ten tonight looking to do something that it has not done Well, in 26 years, Michigan and UConn, the NCAA men's tournament wrapping up tonight, the national championship. Michigan, the favorite, no surprise there. But Dan Hurley and UConn, they know a thing or two about winning national championships. He's already won 2 at UConn, looking to go for number 3 tonight. And if he does that, the Big Ten's drought continues. Let's kick off the show with a chance for you to win $1,000 every weekday, starting at 8 a.m. We'll give you a chance to win $1,000. You'll be listening for the spring payout winning word. When you hear that winning word, you text that winning word to 937-518-1410. So here we are. We're off and rolling. Text the word love, L-O-V-E. Text love to 937-518-1410 for your chance to win $1,000 every hour, starting at 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. right here on 1410 ESPN Radio, Monday through Friday. We'll give you a word that you text into the station, and it's that simple. It's our 2026 ESPN Dayton Spring Payout Cash Contest. Text love to 937-518-1410. What I did love over the weekend, the Cincinnati Reds, well, it was a great rebound series on the road. It was the first road series of the season for your Cincinnati Reds, and they're undefeated on the road. They opened up the season against the Boston Red Sox. They took 2 of 3 from the Red Sox at home. Then they dropped 2 of 3 against the Pittsburgh Pirates at home, and it wasn't that they lost to the Pirates. It was the way that they lost to the Pirates. They lost 8-3 in games 2 and 3, headed into their second off day in the first 10 days of the season, and had us all feeling a certain way. And then they come out and they get a 5-3 game 1 win against the Rangers, and then give up 1 run over the next 2 games, 2-0 game 2 win, 2-1 game 3 win yesterday. And the Reds have now swept the Rangers, and they turn their attention towards the Marlins. They remain on the road, and we'll talk more about the Marlins series coming up in a bit. But the Reds have won 3 straight. They've won their second series in their first 3 of the season. They turned their attention towards the Marlins and the Rangers. It was an interesting series because we saw a lot of what makes the Reds the Reds. We saw a lot of dominant pitching performances. We saw a lot of head-scratching at bats. But opportunistic is the one phrase I think that I would label this Reds team. They are very opportunistic. They do a phenomenal job of kind of just finding ways to win, considering the fact that this lineup just continues to be a problem. I do not think that this lineup has been fixed over the weekend. I think that there are just as many concerns that I have about the lineup today. I was joking with Ron about his negativity to kick off the segment, but he's not wrong. I mean, the second that the show started, Ron said the Reds sweep, but hitting still remains a concern. He's not wrong. This Reds team cannot hit the baseball. They cannot score the baseball consistently. When you think about, look, they lost to the Pirates 8-3 in games 2 and 3. It's not like they started playing better against the Rangers. They just didn't give up 8 runs in games 2 and 3 against the Rangers like they did the Pirates. I mean, they put up 5 runs on the board. They win 5-3. And then, of course, in games 2 and 3, you shut out the Rangers in game 2 and you only give up 1 run in game 3. That, to me, right there, we could talk about the pitching, but, man, the margin for error for this Reds team is so slim. So slim. When they won in game 2, when they win 2-0, all right, with Rhett Lauder on the mound. Rhett Lauder looks phenomenal, by the way. He gives up 0 earned runs on 3 hits in 6 innings of work, strikes out 4, only walks 2. He was unbelievable. The Reds did get 8 hits on the night, but were only able to produce 2 runs, of course. They left a lot of runners stranded. That's another thing that we'll talk more about in a moment. But 8 runners they left on base in that game 2 win against the Rangers. And then yesterday, once again, not a whole lot to brag about offensively. They did have 9 hits, but they continue to leave guys on base. I mean, 10 runners left on base, 18 runners left on base in games 2 and 3. They won, they swept, but, man, they are flirting with disaster. I mean, I find it pretty remarkable how many times they've come out on top this season in games where the offense has just been non-existent. Now, maybe I shouldn't say non-existent. I mean, they left 18 runners on base, 18 runners over a 2-game stretch. They're obviously putting the bat on the ball and putting the ball in play. They're just not driving in runs. Elly De La Cruz continues to improve, which is something that we did not see in the first week of the season, which was frustrating. But, man, 3 home runs to help lead the way. Eugenio Suarez was brought in to help lead the charge power-wise. Last year, Elly De La Cruz, even with going an entire month and some change without knocking the ball out of the ballpark, led the team in home runs last year. Someone has to lead you in home runs last year. Ellie may have led the team in home runs last year, but he's not viewed as a dominant power hitter. But yet here we are 2 weeks into the season, still leading the Reds in home runs. Now, he has one more home run than Eugenio Suarez. Eugenio Suarez is doing and playing just fine, hitting .235 on the season. Of course, one of the Reds' top RBI guys. I mean, look, the Reds are getting contributions from the two guys that they should be getting contributions from. You're getting contributions from Ellie De La Cruz. You're getting contributions from Eugenio Suarez. It's just going to come down to the pieces around them. Ellie De La Cruz in 37 at-bats this season. He's 9 for 37, hitting .243. He scored 6 runs. He has 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, 18 total bases, but he has struck out 14 times. You know, Eugenio Suarez, he struck out 14 times himself, but he's had 34 plate appearances, 8 of 34. He's scored 4 runs himself, 2 home runs. He's not out of the ballpark. He's driven in more runs than Ellie De La Cruz. He leads the team in RBIs with 7. And he's drawn 2 walks. I mean, he's only drawn 2 walks compared to 14 strikeouts. I mean, we're talking about 5 combined drawn walks between him and Ellie compared to 28 strikeouts. But like I said, if you are drawing in runs and you are knocking the ball to the ballpark, you can be forgiven for the strikeouts. And that's today's baseball. I'm not a big fan of it, but those two still continue to strike out at a high clip, but they're the main ones producing. Sal Stewart's definitely cooled off from his dominant start, but he has hit in every single game that he has stepped foot in that batter's box. He is 11 of 30, hitting .367 to start. He's scored 5 runs. He has 3 extra base hits on the season, multiple home runs, 4 RBIs, 20 total bases. He's been on base more than any other Red this season. And his strikeout numbers are low. He's only struck out 6 times in his 30 at-bats, and he has drawn 8 walks. If he has not drawn a walk, he is getting on base by putting the ball in play, knocking the ball to the ballpark, drawing in runs. I mean, Sal Stewart, Eugenio Suarez, Ellie De La Cruz, this team's going to go as those 3 go, but it does have to come down to more. So while everyone was a little concerned about the Reds and their inability to draw in some runs over the weekend, the reason I am not that concerned is because I think these are some things that can be kind of corrected or at least improved as the season progresses. The Reds are getting on base. They left 18 runners in scoring position. They left 18 runners on base over the weekend, just in games 2 and 3. They won 2-0 in game 2. They won 2-1 in game 3. I'm concerned about their inability to score runs, yes, but it's not as if they are not hitting and not drawing runners in. They're not getting runners in, but they're getting guys on base, and I think that issue can be resolved. I'm not as down as what I was a week ago at this time, but we'll see if the Reds can build upon what they did over the weekend. They got a lot of guys on base. They hit the ball really well. They just didn't draw in a lot of runs, but they still found a way to sweep the Rangers. 937-518-1410. Your thoughts? How we feeling about the Reds? They get a 3-game sweep over the Rangers. No more rest, though, because they turn their attention right to the Marlins as their road trip continues. We'll have more on that when we come back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
The Reds invented something new, wallet load management. They rest the bank account like the NBA rests its players. The Justin Kinner Show, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty, and I buy real estate as is, fast for cash. Call me today for an all-cash offer on any of your properties, and we can close within days at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Do you own a property that's outdated and needs thousands of dollars in repair? Great, I'll buy it. Give us a call today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you if you could simply take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. I buy vacant properties, inherited homes, divorce situations, death in the family, apartment buildings, commercial properties. I even buy my tenants won't pay me the rent houses. Visit us today at TurboTrackRealty.com or give us a call and speak with one of our friendly staff members at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
Raise your hand if you're excited about feeling older faster than you should. No takers? Yeah, didn't think so. Ongoing pain makes you feel older than you are. But here's the good news. QC Kinetic patients here in Dayton are getting relief, feeling younger, jumping back into life full speed, and it didn't happen in an operating room. The QC Kinetic medical professionals use the latest regenerative treatments backed by real science, treatments that take the tiny, powerful healing tools inside your body, concentrate them right where you need relief. That's how Mike is training for a marathon instead of giving up running. Patrick's golf game is on fire again. Kathy walked around Disney with her grandkids. No pain. All real QC Kinetic patients. The sooner you start treatment, the sooner inflammation eases and the sooner joint damage slows down. Because no one signs up for feeling older faster. Find out if you're a candidate for QC Kinetic regenerative treatments. Your visit and consultation is free. 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325.
I'm Roger from Columbus. I've lived in Ohio all my life. Owning your home is a cornerstone of the American dream. But for seniors, property taxes keep going up and are costing us everything we've worked for. They're even making it impossible for my grandkids to afford their first homes. Vivek Ramaswamy believes when you own your home, you're in charge. As governor, he'll roll back property taxes to levels from before the end of the pandemic. It's a practical plan that will put thousands of dollars back in your pocket next year while maintaining strong education and dependable police and fire. Ohio's politicians have ignored this crisis for too long. But Vivek Ramaswamy isn't a politician. He's an entrepreneur, and he's ready to fight for you. Ohio needs a leader who makes your life more affordable. That's Vivek Ramaswamy.
Lower costs, bigger paychecks, better schools. Vivek Ramaswamy for governor.
Paid for by Vivek Ramaswamy and Rob McCauley for Ohio.
You've said it before. This will only take a second. Just a quick glance. A fast reply. But on the road, seconds don't wait for you. They decide everything. Who stops, who doesn't, who makes it home. So next time your phone lights up, ask yourself, is this distraction worth a ticket or even a life? Put the phone away or pay. Paid for by NetSuite.
It's ESPN Dayton's Spring Payout. We're giving away $1,000 every weekday for the rest of April. Keep it locked in here to 1410 ESPN Radio all day and be listening for winning keywords.
That's right. Every hour giving away or giving out a winning word that you'll text into the station, and that'll give you a chance to win $1,000. We're giving away $1,000 an hour starting at 8 a.m. all the way through 6 p.m., Monday through Friday, every weekday from now until the end of April. The word that you'll text into the station now, 937-518-1410. Text PARTY, P-A-R-T-Y, text PARTY to 937-518-1410 for your chance to win $1,000. It's the Justin Kinner Show. We welcome you back, 1410 Wing AM. Troy, appreciate you listening and tuning in and hanging out. Troy says the Reds are tied for last in MLB with 26 runs. Yes, scoring runs, an issue. Scoring runs is a problem right now for the Cincinnati Reds. And I have I'm much more comfortable talking about some of the Reds' major deficiencies coming off of a series win, and not just a series win, but a series sweep, sweeping the Rangers over the weekend, a 5-3 game 1 win, a 2-0 game 2 win. Great performance from Rhett Lauder, really great performances all around from the Reds pitching over the weekend, and then a 2-1 one-run win yesterday with Chase Burns on the mound. And the Reds, like I said, they lose 8-3 in games 2 and 3 against the Pirates. They gave up a ton of runs and only scored 3 runs in both of those. They score less than the runs that they scored against the Pirates in games 2 and 3, in games 2 and 3 against the Rangers, and still come out on top. It is not realistic to expect the Reds to only give up a run a night and win games 2-1 consistently enough to make the playoffs this season. I completely get it. The Reds, not according to Troy. Troy is right. He is not wrong. The Reds are dead last in runs produced 9 games into the season. They are 6-3. Right there in the mix in the Central. Who cares? It's only April. Completely get it. But here's why I'm not completely concerned just yet. All right. These are problems that the Reds need to address, but this is a type of problem that, like, if the Reds were putting up, averaging about 2.8 runs per game at this point. But I look at what they did against the Rangers, against very solid pitching. They left 18 runners on base in games 2 and 3. They won both those games. The Reds are getting hits. They are putting the bat on the ball. They are putting the ball in play. They are one of the worst home run hitting teams, even with the addition of Eugenio Suarez. We've seen the power numbers from Sal Stewart early. And how about Ellie De La Cruz already leading the team in home runs with 3 as we get rolling? I mean, Ellie's hitting the ball well. Suarez hitting the ball well. Sal Stewart. It's going to take a complete team effort to keep the Reds from being one of the worst home run hitting teams in baseball. I completely get it. But they left 18 runners on base in games 2 and 3 against the Rangers. They won 2-0 and 2-1 in both of those games. My point is, as long as they are continuing to put guys on base and put the bat on the ball, they will start to score more runs. I'm not worried. If the Reds were not getting hits and they were not getting guys on base and they were not being, put in position to draw runs in, I would be more concerned. I'm not as concerned as what I was a week ago, because we started to see some guys come to life over the weekend. I was very, very irritated with the likes of a Matt McClain. But you look at what Matt McClain did, against the Rangers, game 1 in their 5-3 win. He was 2 for 5 at the plate. He was 2 for 4 in game 2. Now, he was 0 for 4 in game 3, but he did draw a walk and he scored a run. Matt McClain he played a pivotal role in that series win, obviously against the Rangers. You look at TJ Friedel, who I've been very critical of. I don't think he did much. He didn't do enough for me to be impressed with him. He was still 1 for 8. He drew a couple walks and he struck out 3 times. TJ Friedel's still not producing, which is why we saw a couple different lineups over the weekend as far as that goes. As far as other guys who are kind of stepping up a little bit, Spencer Steer had a much better series against the Rangers. In fact, Spencer Steer had his best series of the season. He went 2 for 4, scored 2 runs in the 5-3 win against the Rangers in game 1. He was 2 for 4 with an extra base hit in the Reds' 2-0 win against the Rangers in game 2, and then 1 for 4 yesterday. So we're seeing Matt McClain put the ball in play more, get more hits. Spencer Steer getting more hits, all while we're getting production from Sal Stewart, Eugenio Suarez, and Ellie De La Cruz. I am fine with where the Reds are, trending at this point. We talked about Tyler Stevenson, who was horrific to start, against the Rangers. He was 2 for 4 against the Rangers in game 1. He was able to get a couple hits in that series. Had a home run. That's what the Reds are going to need more of. They're going to need more guys to step up and contribute, which is what we're starting to see from more guys up and down this lineup. I'm a Dane Myers guy too, by the way. Dane Myers, 15 plate appearances, 4 of 15 on the season, but he just did not have, a couple good, did not have it against the Rangers, but he was one of the few guys putting the ball in play in the series before. Look, I'm a negative guy, but I guess the negative for the Reds is my positive. They only scored 4 runs combined in games 2 and 3. The negative is they left 18 guys on base. My positive is they had 18 guys on base. All right. If you're not scoring runs and you're not getting guys on base to even draw, to drive in to begin with, I think that's more of a concern. I feel okay considering 18 runners left on base over the last 2 games. Now, if that becomes a pattern moving forward and they continue to struggle to draw, bring guys in, that's where I am going to start to get a little irritated. But I'm going to be positive today. They're coming off a series sweep over the Rangers. It was a hell of a rebound series. You had just dropped 2 or 3 against the Pirates, who a lot of us want to believe is better than the Pirates. Pirates are a good baseball team. They're off to a good start. They have really good pitching like the Reds. They're solid defensively like the Reds. The difference is they have more consistency in the early going from their lineup. The Pirates might be better than the Reds, and the Reds are still a good baseball team. But that was a stinger. That stung losing to the Pirates the way that the Reds did, especially getting pummeled 8-3 in back-to-back games. I get it. But the Reds could have literally got buried against the Rangers too, picked up where they left off. It's not like the bats just woke up all of a sudden, but they found ways to win. It was a gutsy road series sweep, not just a win. I feel pretty good about the Reds after that weekend series, and we'll see if they can continue it against the Marlins coming up here later on tonight. I'm Justin Kinner right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We're Dayton's radio home for Reds baseball. 6:40 the first pitch tonight. 6-3 Reds at 6-3 Miami. The Marlins favored at home in this one, but we're going to see, of course, Brandon Williamson for the Reds take the mound. He'll be going up against Bubba Chandler coming up later on here this evening. Or not Bubba Chandler. I'm sorry. My apologies. Bello for the Marlins later on. Just around the corner. But that's the series we have coming up for you here between the Reds and the Marlins. Later on, 6:40 the first pitch with the 6:10 pregame coverage beginning. There's something else about this Reds team, too, that is really starting to fascinate me a bit. All right. We wanted to see this team improve from one season to the next. Now, if I throw out this question to you, do you believe that the Reds have improved from last season to now, just 9 games in? You're not allowed to say we're only 9 games in. Based on the issues this team had last year compared to where we are at right now, has this team improved in your opinion? Has this team improved in your opinion? That's what I'd like to know. And a lot of you are going to say, well, last year they were really good at pitching. They're really good at pitching this year. So, no, they're not better there, but they're just as good. From a scoring runs and hitting perspective, this team is definitely not better than where they were a year ago. Some would say they're right at the same level of last year, maybe slightly worse. So how is this team better than they were a year ago? This team right now is the best defensive team in baseball. And it's not just because, they give up the least amount of runs in baseball. Defensively, check off a lot of different boxes metrically to show that this is one of, if not the best defensive team in baseball 9 games in. The Reds are the only team in baseball that have yet to commit an error. They are the only team in baseball that has yet to commit an error. Every team in baseball has committed an error at least 9 games into the season, except for your Cincinnati Reds. And, we talk about can the Reds sustain their winning ways if they are dead last in runs produced on the season moving forward? I think they're going to win a lot of games moving forward. When you are a top 3 pitching staff in baseball, which statistically and metrically the Reds are 9 games in, and I don't think that that's a fluffed number, 9 games in. I think we saw this team, fully invest into the bullpen in the offseason. We knew how good they were from a rotation standpoint. They're one of the most balanced pitching staffs in all of baseball. And now you have, metrically, statistically, the best defense behind that great pitching staff. I think this team's going to win a lot of baseball games moving forward because of that. Is it sustainable, though, without this team's ability to produce runs? Now, it just depends what your definition of sustainability is, what your team's or what your definition of winning is. I mean, winning is winning baseball games. I think they're going to win a lot of series neutralizing opposing teams' top hitting. When you look up and down, we want to compare it. How do you beat the Dodgers? You're not going to look at any team out there and say that team's better than the Dodgers. But what you have to start doing is something that I think that the Reds are trying to position themselves to do. How do you attack the Dodgers? Are you going to try and outrun them? It kind of reminds me, the Dodgers right now remind me of the Golden State Warriors from a few years ago when you had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Kevin Durant all at the same time. And then you had a lot of teams in basketball that were trying to, they score a lot of points. They shoot a lot of threes. We got to load up a roster that's going to shoot a lot of threes as well. And then what are you trying to do? You're trying to out Golden State Warrior, the Golden State Warriors. That's not going to happen. To out Golden State, the Golden State Warriors, you had to, we're not going to shoot better than them, shoot, more threes than them or score more than them consistently. But what do we got to? We got to find a way to neutralize what they do. It doesn't mean it's going to work, but that has to be the mindset of some teams out there. And I think that's what the Reds' mindset is. The Reds are not better than the Dodgers, not even close. But when you look at teams across Major League Baseball, I don't know if there's a whole handful of teams out there that have what it takes to neutralize the Dodgers like the Reds do. And there's not a lot of teams out there that can neutralize a lot of opposing teams throughout baseball the way that the Reds do. The Reds are without Hunter Green and without Nick Lodolo, and they're a top 3 pitching staff in baseball without those two. Without those two, this team is off to a hot start from a pitching perspective. We know this team is dead last in runs produced on the season. We know this is one of the worst power hitting teams in baseball. We know that this team's deficiencies lie heavily in that lineup and on the offensive side of the ball. Then why do they keep winning games? It's because they have the number one and 2 most important side of the ball covered, and that's obviously pitching, and then, of course, the defense that they roll out there. The Reds are not better than the Dodgers, but the Reds are not better than a lot of teams in Major League Baseball. But because the Reds are so damn good defensively, and because they have that pitching staff that they do, they're one of the most equipped teams to neutralize any lineup in all of baseball, and that's why I feel like they have a shot to continue winning games even without a consistent lineup that produces anything to make you feel good about this team. Ron Howard says it's like they're running in place. Pitching is rolling. How long can they hold up? Every game the other team is in it until the end of 9. But the Reds have also They have gone to the bullpen the least amount of anyone. They also don't have any bullpen arm in the top 7 in usage already to start this season. The Reds' whole goal of loading up that bullpen was to make sure that they didn't overexhaust this bullpen heading in before heading into the All-Star break. They're accomplishing that. They have strong arm after strong arm. They have righties. They have lefties. They have dominant starters. They have guys that could produce right now that's pitching in Louisville because of the depth that they have pitching-wise. Their top 2 pitchers are out, and you wouldn't even know it. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. If you're just joining us, welcome. When we look at, this team right now, from an ERA perspective, the Reds are a top 5 pitching staff in baseball. Quality starts. Like I know, I don't know if you guys follow that, but the Reds are top 10 in that statistical category. You look at, from a pitching perspective, right now, the Reds are the top of every major statistical category out there. When you look at the amount of hits that have been given up, all right. When you look at the earned runs, when you look at the walks, I mean, the Reds do a good job in every major statistical category out there. One of the better strikeout teams in baseball. I mean, they check off pretty much every major box out there. The Reds pitching is just fine. That defense, one of the best defenses in baseball. They're the only team in baseball to have yet to commit an error. Do I expect them to go all 162 without committing an error? Heck no. But when you pitch the ball as well as they do, when you play as good a defense as the Reds do, they're going to have a shot. They're going to have a shot to win games. And like I said, I think it's bad that they only scored 4 runs in the final 2 games in that Rangers series, but they found ways to win. But what I felt much better about the losses or the wins, that's the scary thing is when you see how bad they are offensively, at times it makes you feel like they lost. But I felt much better about the Reds when I saw, okay, they are getting hits. They are hitting the baseball. They are getting guys on base. They're just not driving them in. Not saying that's not a big deal, but that's a problem that could be corrected. It's kind of hard to score runs when you can't hit the ball. This team's hitting the ball. They're just not driving in runs. That's the next part to this equation. We'll see if the Reds can get that figured out. It's our spring payout cash contest, giving away $1,000 every day. A new keyword given out every hour, every morning, every hour, starting at 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. And this hour's winning word, head to wingam.com and text. Do not head to wingam.com. That's how we used to do it. You are going to get out your phones and text party to 937-518-1410. Text party to 937-518-1410 for your chance to win $1,000. This word, the word for this hour is party, P-A-R-T-Y. More of the Justin Kinner Show when we come back, continuing to talk Reds. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but ESPN put out their Major League Baseball Watchability Index. Now, the Reds are 6-3. They have exciting players in this lineup. But, man, I tune into games. I want to watch teams produce runs. I want to see teams, score a lot. The Reds aren't one of those teams, which is why I'm surprised that the Reds rank as high on this MLB Watchability Index as what they do. Where do you think the Reds fall on this list? Have you seen it? Let's talk about it. Where do the Reds fall on this Major League Baseball Watchability Index? The answer might surprise you. We'll be right back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Some shows give you hot takes. We give you hot takes, cold takes, wrong takes. We'll let you know when Kinner has a right take. The Justin Kinner Show. Weekdays 3 to 5 on 1410 ESPN Wing AM.
Hey, Cordell Transportation is now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers, excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply right now online at CordellTransportation.com. Do it right now. Driven to succeed.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your Nature-Made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You better be taking yours.
Still looking out for me, Mom.
I'll never stop.
Made to care for you every day. Nature-Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
Spring is the perfect time to beautify your home or business with locally grown plants from A. Brown & Sons Nursery. Check out Brown's Nursery for everyday low prices on thousands of healthy and colorful high-quality shade trees, evergreens, flowering trees, and bushes, perennials, and ornamental grasses. Brown's grows landscape-size hydrangeas, lilacs, butterfly bush, red buds, flowering crabs, magnolias, wisteria, wigula, spirea, forsythia, dogwood, fruit trees, and then there's western red cedar, arborvitae, boxwood, taxus, juniper, pines, and spruce. They have elms and tulip trees, sweet gums and oaks, black gum and hornbeams, willows and honey locusts, 30-plus varieties of maple, and so much more. Come see them at Brown's Nursery this weekend, Friday and Saturday 8 to 5, Sunday noon to 5. Landscape installation and landscape design are available too, just 4 miles off of I-70, exit 24 on Route 49. They're easy to find and so worth the trip. Make your corner of the world a whole lot greener with Brown's Nursery.
Upgrade to a new quality bath remodel in less time with minimal inconvenience and for less money with Bath Creations in as little as 2 days. We do it right. There are a lot of others boasting about bath remodels these days. Well, Bath Creations' expert craftsmanship and customer service speaks for itself. Plus, all first responders, veterans, and active military will save an additional $500 off your purchase. Visit our beautiful showroom at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton or at mybathcreations.com and upgrade your new bath today.
Are you involved with a school or charitable fundraiser that holds an auction, bid and buy booth, or a raffle to raise money? Many of the most popular items at auctions or booths are autographed sports memorabilia items. How can you get great items in your event? Call Adam Walter at Sports Investments. Sports Investments has a consignment program for fundraisers that has provided outstanding items. You select items that are proven sellers, including autographed pieces from Tiger Woods, LeBron James, Joey Votto, the Big Red Machine, the Bengals, the Browns, UC, XU, UK, NKU, Dayton, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Sports Investments consigns the items to your group at a highly discounted price. And when they sell, you keep the profit. You don't pay anything in advance. And if something doesn't sell, you simply return it. You'll enjoy the experience of dealing with the Walter family. Call them at 513-891-5000. Email Adam at sportsinvestments.com or visit them on Montgomery Road, right off I-275, just 40 minutes from WING.
Save big money on your next project with help from Menards. Be prepared for flooding and keep your basement dry with Barracuda pumps. Barracuda makes high-quality pumps that offer dependable performance for when you need it most. Save big money on all Barracuda pumps now at Menards. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
What is it, boy? Someone need help? Someone in trouble?
Oh, okay. So you just want me to get Progressive Auto Insurance because their collision coverage covers up to $1,000 in vet bills if you're injured in an accident? That's it? Okay, calm down. Let's not resort to name calling.
Progressive's collision coverage helps pay for care for your pet when they're in the car during an accident.
No, you're right. Sorry, I shouldn't have said calm down.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage included with purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms.
Spring is in the air, and Alev's long-lasting pain relief is here to keep you moving. The days are longer and the flowers are blooming. Whether it's gardening, yard work, or just spending more time outdoors, spring is a way of getting us moving despite any body pain. That's where Aleve can keep you going. With just one dose, Aleve gives you long-lasting body pain relief for up to 12 hours. From sunup to sundown, Aleve's got your back. Try Aleve. Use as directed for minor aches and pains.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The Reds invented something new, wallet load management. They rest the bank account like the NBA rests its players. The Justin Kinner Show, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Now, back to the Justin Kinner Show, right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
Justin Kinner back with you here, 1410 ESPN Radio. If you haven't done so, get out your phones, text PARTY to 937-518-1410. Text PARTY to 937-518-1410. It's our spring payout, giving away $1,000 every day, $20,000 in the month of April, $1,000 every weekday, and your best chance to do that is be listening every hour for that winning word. When you hear that winning word, text it to the station hotline 937-518-1410, and you'll automatically be entered. So again, keep listening for that word. For this hour, it's PARTY, PARTY. So text PARTY to 937-518-1410. Reds sweep the Rangers over the weekend. They kick off a series with the Marlins tonight. Brendan Williamson going to take the mound. Great pitching performances over the weekend. And the Reds, fascinatingly enough, continue to be the only team in baseball to they've yet to commit an error. With all as bad as this team has been in recent years defensively, with as bad as they have been, in a lot of statistical categories out there, the one area of improvement. I mean, you got to think I've always been curious too. I love Terry Francona, but what impact does a manager? I shouldn't say that. We know it has an impact, but it is interesting. As baseball has evolved and changed over the last decade and some change, managers appear, all right, the perception is from baseball simpletons like me and others, where it just feels like they have less and less of an impact on the game just because advanced analytics and everything else have just basically turned baseball into almost like it's an instruction manual. Hey, when this happens, push this button. When this happens, press Control Alt Delete and reset it. It's like there's an answer for everything. There's no gut feel for how to manage a baseball team, manage a baseball club. Well, it is interesting how you add Terry Francona as your manager, and it wasn't a pretty first year, but the Reds make the playoffs first year of Terry Francona. You can't say that it's a coincidence. You think about the way that the Guardians / the Indians looked back during Terry Francona's time. What were they most known for? They were most known for, of course, being one of the best defensive teams in baseball and one of the best pitching teams in baseball. And by golly, guess what the Reds are already looking like? They're already one of the best pitching teams in baseball, yes. But already, 9 games in, the only team in baseball yet to commit an error. And I guarantee you, I know how this works. The Reds will commit an error in the first inning. In the bottom of the first inning tonight, the Reds will commit an error. And I probably you'll remember this show at 3:42 here in the Miami Valley. You'll remember it at this point. I'm calling it now. The Reds will commit an error in the bottom of the first inning tonight because we're spending so much time on this. But we're already starting to see the shape of a club managed by Terry Francona. It's all about pitching and it's all about defense. This team needs to hit more and they need to score more runs. They need to hit more home runs. That you can't shake it. But for a sport where I've been a big doubter in the impact of a manager, that's why, people notice I started softening my takes on David Bell over the years, because I'm like, we're getting mad at David Bell, but how much of an impact does David Bell truly have on this organization? Well, the answer was none, but that was the problem. David Bell knows more baseball than he'll forget more baseball than I'll ever know. I'll never sit here and act like David Bell doesn't know baseball, but there's a lot of, even the worst coaches in the NBA, they know way more about basketball than you and I will ever know combined. I sit here and I do this show and I act like a know-it-all, and I think I know more than Anthony Grant and I know more than these D1 college basketball coaches. If that's how it comes across, my bad. I do not know basketball the way Anthony Grant knows basketball. That man knows. I respect the hell out of Anthony Grant for that. Don't get me wrong. So I sound like a know-it-all when I'm on these airwaves, but the bottom line is these guys but it's not always about the X's and the O's. It truly is. How do you push the right buttons? How do you get your guys to respond, to react, to go out and get the results you're looking for? I'm looking at a team right now, and it's just kind of funny to me that Terry Francona Reds are built just like those Terry Francona Cleveland Indians. This Cincinnati Reds under Terry Francona looks a lot like his time as manager of the Red Sox when it was all about pitching and all about defense. Yes, you have to draft. Yes, you have to develop. Yes, there's a lot of work that's put in behind the scenes, but this is why I look at a guy like Terry Francona and say it may be the last of those old school veteran managers. While people still get mad at his lineups, people still get mad at his decision-making throughout games, I'm looking at a guy that, while we sit here and talk about, man, this team, they're horrific offensively. They have scored the least amount of runs 9 games into baseball this season than any other team out there, and yet here they are at 6-3. coming off a sweep on the road in their first road series of the season. That, to me, it does come down to managing, because Terry Francona teams will never be perfect. You're never going to be a top 5 hitting team, top 5 pitching team, top 5 defensively. So how do you find ways to win baseball games? That, to me, is Terry Francona. We're 9 games in. I don't want to hear, oh, let's slow down. They're 6-3. We're only 9 games in. If the Reds were 3-6, we'd be pissed off right now. Heck, I was mad last week coming off the Pirates series. They had already beat the Red Sox. They lost to the Pirates, and I was irate 2 series in. One of the series they won, one of the series they lost. I'm going to always react based on the information that we have in front of us right now. I'm not going to base it on what could be down there, what we know right now. And you could say, well, then how are you content with the fact that they only scored 4 combined runs in the final 2 games? Because I'm looking at a team that is getting guys on base. I'm looking at a team that is hitting the ball. 9 hits in game 2, 8 hits in game 3. Yes, they're leaving runners stranded, but at least there's runners to be stranded, to where that wasn't the case in that series against the Pirates. They could not hit the baseball. They could not get runners on. There's activity there. There's guys to work with. I think the Reds are going to be just fine. I'm really not worried. I feel pretty good about where they are. But here we are, 9 games in, and Major League Baseball put out what they like to call as the Major League Baseball Watchability Index. All right, the Watchability Index. Now, this is described by David Schoenfield on ESPN. We're back with our 3rd annual Major League Baseball Watchability Index. And it couldn't come at a better time, it says. Major League Baseball is coming off of a smashing success of a postseason with maybe the greatest World Series ever played and the highest ratings in years. The World Baseball Classic helped build that momentum to start the season and all that excitement heading into this season. So keep that in mind. We have, historically great players already. We're watching all-time greats with the likes of Shohei Ohtani, obviously Aaron Judge, and some of those other big names. One of the best rookie classes in a long time, including the guy we just saw for the Pirates make his debut. There's phenoms all up and down baseball right now, and we're fortunate in Cincinnati to have a couple of them here. Elly De La Cruz is a generational talent with his flaws, yes, but we are fortunate to get to watch Elly De La Cruz. Sal Stewart, I don't know if we're putting him in that Elly category, but Sal Stewart has been phenomenal since being called up. We saw the cup of coffee he had with the Reds last year in September, and he's picked up right where he's left off, the most consistent Red since the season started. So, this is the point system for this Major League Baseball Watchability Index. All right, you get a 15. It's based on a 15-point scale. Star power. Stars win games. Winning games is exciting. Each team is awarded anywhere from 0 to 15 points based on its total points from our MLB Rank Top 100 list. All right. You also, based on a 10-point scale, get points based on the young talent on your roster. It talks about how fans love young teams. This category focuses on players in their first or second seasons in the majors, plus a potential of call-ups from the minors. Connor Griffin, as we just talked about with the Pirates, I'm assuming the Pirates are pretty high on this list as well. And then the one category that it labels is baseball stuff. That's also based on a 10-point scale. It says that, we've consolidated and expanded this category to include all those things that make baseball watchable in 2026. Stealing bases, running the bases, good defense, not striking out on offense, and having the starters who pitch go deep into ball games. So knowing how a lot of these scales are calculated, that played a role in where these teams pop up on this Major League Baseball Watchability Index. All right, let's start with the worst. Let's start with the 5 teams that are the least watchable according to this point system. All right. The least watchable team in all of Major League Baseball is the Colorado Rockies. In fact, they got a total of 4 points based on those, on those categories, right? Star power, they got a 0 ranking. No stars on this roster. They did get 1 point for young talent, but 4 points total when it was all said and done. The Rockies are one of the worst, most unwatchable teams in baseball, according to the Watchability Index. How about Los Angeles? When you think about the Angels and you think about the fact that this is a team just a few years ago and still has one of these guys, you had Shohei Ohtani on your roster. You had Mike Trout, who statistically is one of the best of all time. You're not too far removed from having Albert Pujols on this roster along with Mike Trout, right? Like that, like this, and plus it's Los Angeles. How is it that any team from Los Angeles and any professional sport out there come in as the second least watchable franchise in that particular sport. That's what we get with the Angels. The Angels are such a poorly run franchise that you're in Los Angeles. You've had the likes of Shohei Ohtani, who, by the way, you didn't even lose him out of your market. You just lost him out of your jersey. Shohei Ohtani didn't even want to leave the city. He didn't even want to leave the region. He just wanted to play for a contender, and you couldn't provide him for that. You couldn't find a way to win with the likes of a Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. That's just absolutely insane to me. But the Angels come in at number 29 on this list, the second least watchable franchise in Major League Baseball, according to this point system. The Washington Nationals come in at number 28. The White Sox come in at number 27. The Twins at 26. And then the Cardinals come in at number 25. They get a 0 for star power. No stars up and down this lineup that draw people to the ballpark. The majority of their points do come from, of course, their young talent. All right. Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, guys like that helped carry a heavy load within that point system there. The Reds play the Marlins tonight. The Marlins come in at number 24, another team that has 0 star power up and down this lineup. So where do the Reds come in on this list? Because when we hear our own fans, me included, talk about this Reds team, you would think that this is the worst team in Major League Baseball, right? I mean, with as negative as I and you are when it comes to talking about our team, the Cincinnati Reds, you would think that this team would be right up there. I was surprised as I started scrolling down that list that the Reds were nowhere to be found near the bottom. The Reds are actually significantly higher on this list than I had anticipated, all right? And the write-up puts the Cincinnati Reds, all right? Maybe I'm giving them too much love here, but the fact that they're nowhere near the bottom, they're not even right there in the middle of the pack. I mean, they're just on the outside of the top 10. They come in at number 12. The Reds are the 12th most watchable franchise in Major League Baseball today based on star power, based on the youth movement, based on the exciting style of play. Now, that must be very frustrating to hear as Reds fans because we watch this team painfully struggle. We watch this team play offense, every single night, and offensively, it's offensive, how bad they can be offensively at times, but they come in at number 12. All right. The Reds placed 4 players in the top 100 with, of course, Elly De La Cruz leading the way at number 24. Don't forget that he's still just 24 years old and that he played through some injury woes and off the field issues last year, personal issues after losing family members and others that could have affected his production. They also have Hunter Green. Of course, the injury is discouraging, it says. Chase Burns looks ready to step up and take over as a flame-throwing ace of the rotation. Sal Stewart and Rhett Lauder give the Reds top 2 rookies. Stewart is off to a great start, already looking like he has the potential to be a big star with advanced control of the strike zone and elite barrel rates. This is the write-up that Major League Baseball, or that ESPN put out on the Cincinnati Reds, who, of course, scored 6 in star power with the likes of Elly, Sal Stewart. All right, when you look at, Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo, and now you add Sal Stewart and Rhett Lauder into the mix as well when it comes to the youth movement, they check off everything. They got bonus points. All right, they got a bonus point for the return of Elly De La Cruz's power, which is interesting because I don't think we truly respect Elly De La Cruz's power. Yes, he led the team in home runs last year, but the Reds got a bonus point for Elly De La Cruz's power, who, of course, is already off in 9 games to 3 home runs to help lead the team already. They got a +1 for Eugenio Suarez's all-around good vibes, whatever the hell that means. And they got another +1 for the fastball of Chase Burns. And then they get another point for having a Hall of Fame manager and Terry Francona lead this team. Are you surprised? 937-518-1410 text lines are open. When you look at this list, the MLB Watchability Index, the Reds, I thought would be at the bottom. I think when you think about this team and you go to the ballpark to watch this team, it's painful to watch them offensively. But that's not what this index was about. It's about the makeup of the roster, who the manager is, the style of play. This team, they don't score a lot of runs, but they get a lot of hits, and they put a lot of guys on base. And when the guys get on base, like Elly De La Cruz and others, exciting things happen. We just watched Elly score from first just the other night. This team's exciting and fun to watch. They're balanced with veterans and with youth. They have a Hall of Fame manager in Terry Francona, a generational player in Elly De La Cruz. After reading this, I'm on board with it. I could see why they have the Reds as high as they do. Now, they're still not in the top 10. Imagine if the likes of TJ Friedel this season and Matt McClain, right? Imagine if all these pieces started coming together at one time, like what we think that they're capable of. I think the Reds would be significantly higher on this list. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show. Chad Kinser weighed in on my shot that I took at the Angels earlier. To be fair, how often was Trout there healthy when Ohtani was there? It doesn't matter because, I mean, you got to think about, I know that he is injured a lot, talking about Trout. But the fact that when you look at statistically Mike Trout's numbers, I mean, he is one of the greatest players of all time. And we as baseball fans have only witnessed him in the postseason one time. That's a horrific franchise. And the fact that you couldn't market this team with Shohei Ohtani and Trout. And yeah, Trout's inability to stay healthy is a problem as well, but they continue to pay him. They're the ones that gave him, what, $700 million? You know, I wanted to pay. If I'm the Angels, I would have said, hey, we're Los Angeles. Like, for instance, I'll say this. If the Reds had Mike Trout, and Mike Trout had all the injuries that he had as a Red, and it was time for him to go, the Reds would say, he's injured all the time, but we cannot let Mike Trout go. I would understand why a desperate franchise like the Reds would pay Mike Trout. The Angels, to me, don't scream LA because they don't scream confidence. Because if they truly were an LA team and had that LA confidence, they would look at Mike Trout and say, I know you're one of the best of all time, but you are not reliable. We cannot count on you. We're not going to pay you. We're going to move on from you because we can use this, what was it, 600, 700 million to get 2 or 3 other star players that are going to help this team win. That was a desperation move by the Angels to keep Mike Trout, in my opinion. I think it was a huge mistake. You know, I look at other confident franchises out there who looked at their star player and said, thanks, but no thanks. I give the Nationals a ton of credit. The Nationals were willing to look at Bryce Harper, who at the time everyone said, how stupid is that franchise to just let Bryce Harper go? But that franchise looked at Bryce Harper and said, thanks, but no thanks. Like, we're confident in our ability to continue to win baseball games moving forward rather than mortgaging the future to keep you here because we're confident in our ability to move forward. And not only did they move on from Bryce Harper that season, when they moved on from Bryce Harper, who went to the Phillies, and the Phillies made a nice little off season that year when they added JT Realmuto, they added some star pitchers in that. Philly missed the playoffs with Bryce Harper that first year that they got him. The Nationals, 1 year after moving on from the face of their franchise, win a World Series. That's why baseball's fascinating to me. No other sport can you move on from LeBron James as the face of your franchise and go on to win a title the next year. In fact, the Cavs didn't even look like an NBA team the year after they moved on from LeBron. Not once, but twice. Look at the NFL. You think that if, you look at the Chiefs, you move on from Patrick Mahomes, you think you're winning a Super Bowl that very next season? Absolutely not. But in baseball, you could do that. And the Angels, to me, showed desperation by being willing to give that money to Mike Trout, who never consistently showed he could be healthy and reliable throughout a season. And, you know, they have the money to pay him, yes, but they haven't had the infrastructure in that front office to be able to make the right moves around it. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show. All right. I tell you what, it's not 4 o'clock yet, but what the hell? Text the keyword for the 4 o'clock hour is phone. Head to 9. Get your phones out. I keep saying head to because for years we've done this through sending you to the website. We're texting these keywords now. Text phone. Phone. Y'all know how to spell phone, right? In the instructions here, it says to spell out the word for you. How about I don't treat you like you guys are dumb? Like, how about I treat you like you know how to spell phone, right? Like, is that how we're going to do this? Because I respect you. Phone. Get out your phone and text the word phone to 937-518-1410. Text phone to 937-518-1410. It's our ESPN Dayton spring payout. $1,000 every day, Monday through Friday. Through the rest of April. Be winning for those winning words. Hour number 1 in the books. We'll be right back.
The Reds have upset their fans. The Bengals and Browns are preparing for their top 10 draft picks. Ohio State is coming off a playoff season. Just another sports year in Ohio. Now back to 1410 ESPN Radio.
Gem City Water. We're a local veteran-owned company that offers affordable reverse osmosis systems and installs them for free. Our water is tastier, healthier, and eco-friendlier. Visit gemcitywater.com for more info.
It's hard to describe the delicious flavor of Lee's new famous sauce paired with the 12-piece strip meal, but we figured we'd give it a shot.
Imagine crispy, golden, fried to perfection chicken dunked in bold, peppery, beautifully balanced famous sauce. Every bite feels intentional, deeply satisfying, and impossible to forget.
In other words, it's just the best there is. The 12-piece strip meal with new famous sauce. Only at Lee's. Famous for a reason.
For some people, pain doesn't just hurt your body, it takes everything. That was Jay for 15 years.
I spent more time laying down in bed because even sitting on chairs hurt. I couldn't walk around, couldn't stand up straight. My pain got so bad, I was running out of hope, not just in treatment, but in life in general.
Then, just like you're doing right now, Jay heard a radio commercial right here in Dayton that led him to QC Kinetics and their regenerative treatments that go beyond masking pain.
Within an hour or two after the treatments, I felt like, 70% of what I was feeling was just sort of dissolved.
From surviving to living again. For Jay, that changed everything.
I'm able to do things. I get a chance to play with my grandkids. I'm physically not in that pain anymore because of QC Kinetics.
If you've been living in pain, this is your moment. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325.
Turn your tax refund into new tile at Menards. Make this the year you check that project off the list. Some things never go out of style, like tile from Mohawk. You can count on the durability, easy maintenance, and timeless beauty of tile. We carry a great selection of over 350 ceramic, porcelain, mosaic, and glass tiles to choose from. Head into Menards and let our helpful team get you everything you need for your tile project today.
Save big money at Menards.
Get ready to save big during the Hustler Spring Sales Event from April 15th through May 31st. Save up to $350 off the Raptor Series and up to $550 off the Fast Track Series Zero-Turn Mowers at participating Hustler dealers. Engineered and tested for long-lasting performance, Hustler mowers are designed to keep you mowing season after season. Visit Small Engine Service Pros on Route 235 in New Carlisle and shop the Hustler Spring Sales Event today. Offer valid April 15th through May 31st, 2026, or while quantities last. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
If you don't care about saving 50% off your wireless bill for the same 5G coverage the big guys are charging a fortune for, maybe you care about keeping jobs in America. Pure Talk does. They've pledged to run their entire operation from this country, including all their customer service. Or maybe you care about our nation's veterans. Pure Talk does. They've donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization working hard to prevent veteran suicide. Or maybe you care about closing America's skills gap. Pure Talk does. They're a proud supporter of MicroWorks. They're helping my foundation train the next generation of skilled workers. Don't get me wrong. Saving money's great, and you'll save plenty with Pure Talk. But if you want to be in business with people who share your values, dial pound 250. Say micro, and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Today, partly cloudy skies, a high of 59. Tonight, a few clouds, low of 29 degrees. And tomorrow for your Tuesday, sunny skies and a high of 47. I'm Adam Zellick for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hello, this is Michael, and I wish to welcome you to Dave Arbogast Buick GMC service, located at exit 69 on I-75 in Troy, Ohio. Please join us between April 1st and May 30th to save big during our buy three, get one for $1 tire sale. New GM credit card holders may combine this offer to receive an additional $250 off on their first purchase over $500. Please visit us at davearbogast.com or call 937-980-0569 to speak with a certified service expert and schedule your appointment today.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like, but you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places. What you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week, there's something new. If you need office furniture, Lyric's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. From budget to the best. From desks to filing cabinets. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Lyric's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to want to go anywhere else. Lyric's Warehouse Outlet at 23 Mac Oil Avenue in Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Lyric's, continuing the tradition.
If you're a sports fan in the Miami Valley, 1410 ESPN Radio has you covered. You'll get Ohio State football and basketball, Reds baseball, Wright State hoops, and Dayton's only afternoon sports talk program, The Justin Kinner Show, weekdays at 3, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Now, back to The Justin Kinner Show, right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
Giving away $1,000 every day. It's the 2026 ESPN Dayton Spring Payout. Be listening for the winning word every hour starting at 8 a.m. right here on 1410 ESPN Radio every weekday from now to the end of April. And when you text that winning word in, you'll automatically be entered into a chance to win $1,000. And the winning word for this hour, text phone. Get out your phone and text phone to 937-518-1410. 937-518-1410. It's funny. I get to see like the results as they come in. And just in that last part of the show, we had 36 entries. And right now we're at 8, 9, 10 new ones just came in just right there. So keep them coming. I don't know why my ADD. I have to minimize that screen because like as you guys text in your entries, it pops up.
I added that to the list.
Oh, Siri is interrupting me. There we go. ADD. Sorry. Focus. We're regathering here. All right. It's the Justin Kinner Show, hour number 2. Over the weekend, by the way, there was an interesting name that's making a visit with the Bengals today for the draft coming up that I want to talk about here around the corner. I'm excited about that. We'll get to that coming up here in a moment. But so we're going to crown a national champion tonight in men's college basketball. UCLA out of the Big Ten won a national championship in women's college basketball yesterday. And I got to put out this disclaimer because I got beat up on social media over the weekend. Apparently, I hate women's sports, and I was disrespectful to women over the weekend because I said that the women's tournament has sucked this year, and it has. There has not been one memorable game. There has not been one memorable moment up until South Carolina and UConn when they went head-to-head over the weekend. And then, of course, you had Gino Auriemma, who apparently also, doesn't like women, doesn't like women's basketball, is disrespectful, blah, 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 blah. This storyline pissed me off so much over the weekend that it sounded like I was defending Gino, who I thought acted like a complete jerk. I don't even think I need to over-explain that. I don't think there's anyone out there that doesn't think he acted like a jerk. There's a reason his school made him put out the little apology statement that I know he didn't mean, and I don't think that he should have meant it either. I think he's sorry that he took attention away from South Carolina for winning. I don't think he likes Don Staley, and I don't think it's because of anything that you guys would like to try to label him as. I don't think he was rude to Don Staley because of race. I think that's one that's floated around that I think is one of the most ignorant ones that I've heard. That Gino, race was a reason that he was rude to Don Staley. I mean, can we stop with that, please? The fact that she was a woman, that was another one that came out that, you mean the guy that has dedicated his entire life to women's college basketball doesn't like women in college basketball? Like, why do we do this? Gino actually did something over the weekend that I think was the most respectful in women's college basketball, and I'll explain why. If Gino Auriemma was a men's coach in college basketball and walked in and was facing South Carolina, and the men's coach for South Carolina, a man, was walking by, and Gino didn't like that, and he said the same thing to him that he did to Don Staley over the weekend, and they kind of had a little scuffle back and forth, and they had to be broken up and all that. It's a talking point, and we move on. All right? But he treated Don Staley. He didn't tiptoe around her because she's a woman or an African-American woman or just a woman in general. He treated her like a coach. He didn't look at her and say, I'm yelling at you because you're an African-American woman, or I'm yelling at you because you're a woman. I'm pissed off at you because I don't like the way you as a coach handled this situation. That's what I respect about Gino Auriemma, is the fact that everyone's like, I can't believe he talked to a woman like that. What are you talking about? I thought we wanted college basketball, women's college basketball, to be elevated to the same plateau, the same platform as men's college basketball, which means I'm not watching a women's athlete. I'm watching a college basketball player. I'm not watching a women's college basketball coach. I'm watching a college basketball coach. And that's what Gino treated Dawn Staley, in my opinion, as. I don't like how Gino acted by any means, but to sit there and try to over-dissect and over-analyze what happened over the weekend as like it's some kind of social case study is just absolutely ignorant and moronic, in my opinion. Why do we have to take everything? He is women's college basketball's John Wooden, and we are trying to find a way to push him out of the sport and villainize him. I don't get why we do that. Dan Woken, whatever the hell his name is, with Yahoo Sports. He put out one of the most ignorant articles that I've ever come across when he stated that we got to be really concerned because Gino Auriemma almost had his Woody Hayes moment. What do you mean, Woody Hayes, who we all love Woody Hayes, but that guy freaking punched an athlete. He punched a player. Gino mouthed off and then walked away. You had Dawn Staley, who, again, I have no problem with this, said, I'm going to whoop Gino's ass. She said it over and over and over. I thought it was hilarious. I would love to see her whip Gino's ass. I think it would be funny as hell, to be quite honest with you. It doesn't bother me. I'm not offended by it. And deep down, you weren't offended by Gino either. You just don't like Gino because he is the head coach of the New York Yankees of women's college basketball. We don't like the Yankees. We don't like the Dodgers. He is the head coach of the Dodgers of women's basketball, right? Like, that's why you don't like Gino. It's as simple as that. You don't actually think that he's a racist. You don't actually think that he hates women. You don't actually think that he's bad for women's college basketball. You just hate him because he's the face of an empire that you hate, which is UConn's women's basketball. Just like we hate the Dodgers, just like we grew up hating the Yankees, just like we hate anyone that like Duke basketball, right? Like, come on. I'm sorry, but I was disgusted by the reaction to the story over the weekend. It was absolutely insanely ridiculous. Again, I'm not a fan of how Gino acted. And to be honest, if you were offended by the way he acted, you have to be offended by the way Dawn Staley acted. But because, she's a woman, we have to handle her with kids' gloves. No, I didn't mind it. I didn't mind either one. It was good for basketball, to be honest, because nothing physical happened, nothing ridiculous. I mean, you would think that they threw hands. He let her know that he was displeased about something. Some of the stuff that he said was, inaccurate. If I'm being nice, he lied. He tried to make her look bad. And then he put out the apology. People say he needs to apologize. So he put out the apology. Then what'd you guys do? You moved the goalpost back even more. Well, he didn't even include her name in there. Stop it. You guys act like if he included her name in the apology that you would be like, that Gino guy, he's a swell person. He included her name in that apology. No, you're a moron. Quit it. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. That irritated me so much over the weekend. I'm not condoning what he did by any means. I'm just saying it really wasn't as big a deal as what everyone was trying to make it out to be. I actually thought it was a great thing. This women's tournament was horrendous this year. It was so boring, and that was the most unique thing that happened the entire tournament long. And to prove it, I thought last year's men's NCAA tournament was horrific as well. And when I said, man, this men's tournament, not this tournament, this year has been phenomenal. I mean, you think of how UConn even got here on the men's side. I mean, this men's tournament has provided everything for you. I mean, the biggest complaint about the men's tournament this year was that there's no upsets. But last year, I thought the men's tournament was horrifically boring. There was really no drama throughout. And no one accused me of, I think Kinner hates men's sports. Kinner said that the men's tournament was boring last year. He hates men's sports. No. So why are you that soft when it comes to how people talk about women's sports? Is it because it's women's sports? Women's sports wants to be talked about as just in sports in general. Why do I have to soften my take because it's a women's sport versus a men's sport? Because that's not, I don't get involved into the back and forth of some of the more controversial men and women's sports topics that are out there. To me, the women's tournament, it's a college basketball tournament. I want upsets there. I want close games there. I want drama there. I love the Angel Reese and the Caitlin Clark drama from years ago. That was awesome for college basketball. And I thought yesterday or 2 days ago, I thought that was good for college basketball as well. I don't have a problem with it. We love rivalries. And Gino, there was I shared this on Byers' show. Excuse me. I shared this on Byers' show earlier today when he asked me about it. Gino's always been petty. He's always been kind of a jerk in regards to how he's perceived in public. Pat Summitt, who is one of my all-time favorite coaches, not women's college basketball coaches, college coaches. Pat is the absolute one of the all-time greatest of all time. Love Pat Summitt. But there was a clip of, and I don't know if they were meeting in the national championship or the Final Four, but they were meeting in the NCAA tournament. And the reporters knew of the dislike that the two had for one another, and they were sitting side by side. So one of the reporters asked Pat Summitt, "Hey, if you were driving down the side of the road and you saw that Gino was broke down, that his car was broke down and he was stranded, would you pick him up?" And she, of course, is a classy lady and said, "Yes, I would pick him up and not leave him stranded." They said, "Gino, if the roles are reversed, what are you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm going to keep on driving." Like, that's just how he is. He wasn't going to handle it differently because, it's a women's coach. Blah, blah. No, that's just how these competitive coaches are. You look at Dan Hurley tonight, who's a freaking psychopath. If we can compartmentalize and somehow not have to chase this guy out of college basketball, why are we trying to do the same thing to Gino? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. I thought that was the most overblown storyline in the history of sports over the weekend. That Gino almost had his Woody Hayes moment. What? To be honest, he mouthed off. He said his stupid comment, and then he walked away. If there was any coach that was about to be violent, it was the coach that was technically saying, "I would beat Gino's ass," which, by the way, not offended by, thought it was funny. I love Dawn Staley too. I think Dawn Staley's awesome. I love the fact that she came out and said, "I would be." I mean, that would be a sight to see. I mean, you should see the AI generated content that came out of that quote alone. It was the only relevant aspect of the women's tournament, and not because it was the women's basketball. It's because it was just a boring tournament, just like the men's tournament was boring last year. Anyways, sorry. I had that in my rundown. I had to make sure I got that out there. I just couldn't believe how that storyline irritated the living daylights out of me. Trying to make Gino out to be this just horrific person. You should see the opinions that were coming out. That he doesn't like her because she's a woman. What are you talking? He's dedicated his entire life to making women's college basketball as relevant as possible. Like, you people are soft. The majority of you who had that deep of a problem with it, if you think I'm attacking you, I probably am. You're soft. You're soft. I have no problem if you say, "Man, Gino acted like a jerk. Can't stand Gino." Okay, cool. I don't have an issue with that. But trying to take something that he did that a lot of coaches do and then try to mislabel him as something that he's not because you just don't like him, you're part of the problem. You're why, when there are actual instances of people doing disrespectful things to a certain race or a certain gender, those people can't truly be held accountable because we just label everything as misogynistic. We label everything as racist. We label everything as this, when that was not a misogynistic, racist thing that took place over the weekend. And yet you guys sit there and jump on it and try to paint that picture. And it's like, so then when there really is a situation where there is a misogynistic jerk or a racist jerk that acts in a certain way, it doesn't get the attention that it needs to make a change with that individual because we treat everything the exact same way. And that I have a problem with. Gino didn't treat Dawn Staley like an African-American women's basketball coach. He treated her like a college basketball coach. Because that's the world that Gino lives in. Is he's a basketball coach, she's a basketball coach, and from one basketball coach to another, he had a problem with how she handled a certain scenario. Right or wrong, he was wrong, but it was simply basketball. Simple as that. He didn't almost have his Woody Hayes moment, Dan Wolken. Moron. I called a name. Shouldn't do that. But that stuff's dangerous, man. Like that stuff's crazy to me. Trying to mislabel something like that's wrong. It really is. I'm sorry. I'm a nobody in Dayton, Ohio. My voice doesn't go very, very far, but I'm just the overreaction to that. I have a huge problem with. I really, really do. I'm not a fan of that, because then when it is time to truly condemn people for acting a certain way, when that timing is right, it falls on deaf ears way too many times, because when we label everything a certain way, it takes away from the time that you really need to attack something. And Gino acted like an idiot. He did. He lied. He got caught. Oh, well. I mean, not oh, well, but yeah. We saw Dan Hurley headbutt an official or whatever he was doing with the official the other day, and we didn't have a problem with it. Dan Hurley hates officials because of no, Dan Hurley's just a psychopath, and that's what makes him Dan Hurley. I don't know. All right, I'm done. My bad. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. 937-518-1410. Thumbs up, thumbs down. You want to text in your thoughts. I'd be glad to read your text, or I'd be glad to take your call. Am I wrong? Was that overblown? Am I missing something? Maybe I am. I'm not saying I'm completely right, but based on my frame of thinking, I have a hard time believing that was that big of a deal over the weekend. What I miss? 937-518-1410. Jumping on the conversation. I'll be right back.
Get ready to save big during the Hustler Spring Sales Event from April 15th through May 31st. Save up to $350 off the Raptor Series and up to $550 off the Fast Track Series zero-turn mowers at participating Hustler dealers. Engineered and tested for long-lasting performance, Hustler mowers are designed to keep you mowing season after season. Visit Small Engine Service Pros on Route 235 in New Carlisle and shop the Hustler Spring Sales Event today. Offer valid April 15th through May 31st, 2026, or while quantities last. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
You've said it before. This will only take a second. Just a quick glance. A fast reply. But on the road, seconds don't wait for you. They decide everything. Who stops, who doesn't, who makes it home. So next time your phone lights up, ask yourself, is this distraction worth a ticket or even a life? Put the phone away or pay. Paid for by NetSuite.
This is a special notice to U.S. taxpayers owing $10,000 or more to the IRS. Tax Relief Advocates is urgently notifying taxpayers that tax relief initiatives are now available that may significantly reduce or eliminate what you owe. If you're afraid of an IRS lien, levy, or wage garnishment, don't lose hope. You can now take advantage of these current relief programs to end all collections, reduce the amount you owe, and resolve your tax problem. Even if you have years of unfiled tax returns or are already in a payment plan, you may still qualify for significant relief. Struggling taxpayers can now get relief they need during these hard economic times. A hotline has been established by Tax Relief Advocates for you to call and see what you qualify for. They are A+ rated with the BBB and have over 1,000 5-star reviews. Don't wait. Call 800-575-9087, 800-575-9087. That's 800-575-9087, or simply visit TRA.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free. I need a little range, step to the range, come on, meet me at the range.
Introducing the new Chick-fil-A Jalapeno Ranch Club Sandwich. With that juicy Chick-fil-A chicken on a buttermilk ranch bun, jalapeno ranch sauce, and pickled jalapenos, it's a little ranch with a lot of kick. The new Chick-fil-A Jalapeno Ranch Club with original spicy or grilled filet. Available for a limited time only. Order ahead on the Chick-fil-A app.
Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs. For protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
Describing the delicious flavor of Lee's new famous wrap is tough, but we figured we'd give it a shot.
Imagine crispy, golden, fried to perfection chicken, drizzled with bold, peppery, beautifully balanced famous sauce, resting on a plush bed of succulent lettuce and sprinkled with cheese. It's like ordering delicious with a side of exquisite.
In other words, it's awesome. The famous wrap with new famous sauce. Only at Lee's. Famous for a reason.
You know what scared Kathy more than surgery? Giving up her active life, turning down opportunities to do the things she loves.
I found myself saying, no, I don't want to do that because of pain. It was really limiting my activities in every way.
And then came the diagnosis.
You need 2 full knee replacements. I don't have time for a double knee replacement, and I don't like pain. So no.
But that's not how her story ends. She tried something different, QC Kinetics. It was cutting edge, but natural and much easier on her body with thousands of patient success stories.
I went to QC Kinetics. Within a couple of weeks, I was absolutely pain-free, no pain. I feel fantastic. Too much life to live, and I want to stay in motion as long as I possibly can.
Don't let pain decide what you say yes or no to. Live your best life. They'll make sure of it at QC Kinetics, starting with a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
If you need new roofing, siding or gutters, skylights or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. See Lance Roofing and Siding at their new location at 6903 Dayton Springfield Road in Enid. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722. Online at lanceroofing.com.
Hey, Cordell Transportation is now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers, excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply right now online at CordellTransportation.com. Do it right now. Driven to succeed.
Harry Douglas here. Let me ask you something. What if you can enjoy the taste of a cocktail, the warmth of a spirit, and still stay fully in control? That's RK Zero Proof, a pioneer in the alcohol-free spirits category. RK delivers bold flavor and a real warming sensation with 0 alcohol, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and 0 calories. Perfect for nights out, social gatherings, or anytime you want the experience of a drink without sacrificing tomorrow. Check it out at rkbeverages.com. That's ARKAY beverages.com. RK, all the flavor, none of the alcohol.
Look, I love the Reds as much as you do. But why does this team's batting average look like the 1990s gas prices? If you don't remember, they were low. Now, back to the Justin Kinner Show, right here on ESPN Dayton, 1410 Wing AM.
Brendan Williamson on the mound tonight for your Red Legs. Reds and Marlins, game 1. Reds back on the road again. They started the first 6 games of the season at home. And they were 3-3 to start, but they're 6-3 now after winning 3 straight, sweeping the Rangers for their first road series of the season over the weekend. And they look to keep that going here tonight against the Marlins with Brandon Williamson on the mound. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show. Happy to hang out with you each and every weekday, 3 to 5, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. We're giving away $1,000 every day thanks to our ESPN Dayton Spring Payout Cash Contest. Monday through Friday for the remainder of April. We'll be listening for the winning word starting at 8 a.m. all the way through 5 p.m. And when you hear that word, text it into the station hotline, 937-518-1410. That's what you'll do. So this for this hour, text phone, PHONE, text phone to 937-518-1410 for your chance to win $1,000. As I mentioned, Reds and Marlins coming up later on tonight. Reds are interesting because of the fact that this is, a horrific offensively. But you think about this team over the years, one of the biggest issues that they had was really very undisciplined and one of the worst defensive teams in baseball year in and year out. And that's not the case right now. I mean, when you think about one of the more controversial or polarizing discussions about the Reds that a lot of people want to have is Elly De La Cruz should not be at shortstop, that he should be playing in the outfield because he commits too many errors at shortstop. Well, the fascinating thing is, as we sit here right now, Elly De La Cruz has not committed an error all season. In fact, the Reds don't have a single player that has committed an error all season. The Reds are the only team in baseball to have yet to commit an error, and is it because, and look, that's not going to be the case all season. They're not going to go 162 games without an error, but the fact that they are 6-3, the fact that they are right there at the top of the division, and I get it, we're only 9 games in, but when you look at the fact that this is the worst hitting team in baseball, when you look at that, no team has less hits than the Cincinnati Reds do. The Reds are not hitting the ball right now. They're not advancing the ball. They're not scoring runs. no team, I should say, let me rephrase that. Let me fix that. No team has scored less runs than the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds, they're struggling to put runs up on the board. They're putting the ball in play. They're getting hits, my apologies, but they're not driving those runs in. But defensively, to not commit an error, they're playing mistake-free baseball defensively. Pitching-wise, they're without Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green, their top two pitchers, and they just keep getting gem after gem after gem. I mean, the Reds are a fun story in baseball right now. We talked about it. If you missed it, by the way, make sure you download the Justin Kinner Show in your Apple iTunes, Google Play Store, wherever you get your podcast. Be looking for it. Just type in Justin Kinner and download that day's Justin Kinner Show if you want to go back and listen to it. But appreciate that, by the way. I talked about it earlier that ESPN puts out a Major League Baseball watchability index ranking. And I thought, man, with the Reds being as bad as they are offensively, I figured that they would be kind of ranked near the bottom as far as watchability is concerned, because even though they have the likes of Ellie and some others, I mean, there's a lot of automatic outs in that lineup. But the Reds come in at number 12 on that list. And I know that's not top 10. I know that's not top 5. But I was shocked when I had to scroll at least a good 4 or 5 times to even get to the Reds on this list, because it starts from the least watchable team to the most watchable team. Well, the Reds check off a lot more boxes than what we want to give them credit for. It's a team that needs to start performing more consistently, but they do have star power. They have really good players. You know, that's why when people get mad at the front office, I defended the front office last week when I kept saying, why are you mad at the front office? Because they're not winning games. Well, if the front office wasn't doing their job, you wouldn't expect them to win games. We expect them to win games because they technically have done their job. They technically have put enough talent on a roster together for us to expect them to win games. So when they don't win games, you're frustrated, you are inadvertently admitting that the front office has done a good enough job for you to expect them to win, if that makes sense, right? Like, so that's kind of where I'm at with the front office, Nick Krall and others. You know, the Reds have a lot of star power on this roster, more than you want to give them credit for. From Hunter Green to Nick Lodolo, right, to Chase Burns, who I think is a star. Andrew Abbott is a star. Obviously, Sal Stewart in the driver's seat for the Reds, hottest new rookie. Of course, you look at Ellie De La Cruz, Matt McClain struggling, the last 2 years, but looks like to maybe have righted the ship. I thought for as bad as he was against Pittsburgh, I thought he had a very good series against the Rangers over the weekend. So they come in at number 12 on that list. I could deal with that. We'll see if they could turn it around. Everyone was disappointed in the Reds because of what we saw against the Rangers, despite the fact that they swept the Rangers. They sat there and they only scored 2 runs in game 2, 2 runs in game 3. You're not going to win a lot of games only putting 2 runs up on the board. 2 or 3 runs up on the board on a nightly basis is not going to get the job done. But somehow, some way, the Reds have found a way to get that job done. Now, again, I want to be negative and say they're not producing runs. But, what was a negative in the Rangers series to me is a positive. They left 9 runners on base in game 2 when their 2-0 shutout win against the Rangers, and they left 8 runners on base yesterday. That's 17 runs, 17 runners. That's 17 guys they left on base. But in my head, I'm looking at it as they had 17 guys on base, whether it was drawn a walk, base hit, extra base hit. Yes, it's frustrating that they're not knocking those runs in, but I would be way more concerned if this team wasn't just not scoring, but they weren't hitting. They're actually hitting. The Reds are actually hitting the baseball. They're just not driving runs in. And that's the problem for the Reds, that I think that they have to find a way, to be more focused on that. I do wonder at times, when you think about the fact that, everyone is so caught up with the long ball and we're obsessed with the long ball, that you look at the Reds and it's like they're trying to knock the ball out of the ballpark every chance that they get. But the bottom line is they just need to continue to put the ball in play. And I think that's something that they've really focused on in that Ranger series. The Pirates, I felt like they were pulling everything. They were all trying to knock the ball out of the ballpark because we're so home run, we're just so consumed with the long ball. Then I think that at times it forces teams to play more tense. I think if the Reds just go to what they're comfortable with, small ball, I don't care where the runs come from. That's what I've said before. Everyone's like, well, they need to, the Reds, they have to hit more home runs. I'm like, they need to score more runs. And I get it. Hitting more home runs drives in more runs. It kind of checks all the boxes off. But taking non-power hitters and trying to force them to hit the ball to the ballpark, because that's, that I have a problem with. Ellie leads the team in home runs. He led him in home runs last year. Do you look at Ellie as a true power threat, though? We want power numbers from Ellie. Do we? I mean, we do. I just want production from Ellie by any means necessary. I told you this last week. If Ellie is top 5 in drawing walks and bottom 5 in home runs, I don't care. He needs to be top 5 offensively in something, whether it's base hits, extra base hits, home runs, drawing walks. His on-base percentage to me is the most important number than any other number for a player out there, because he needs to be on base more than any other Red for the Reds to have a chance to win baseball games, because good things happen. Eugenio Suarez, you know how we're going to gauge whether he's good or not? It's how many home runs he hits. Not how many hits, not how many walks. It's how many home runs. It's as simple as that. It's not home run or nothing for Ellie. It's put the ball in play, get on base, make something happen. That's how we're going to gauge Ellie's success. And that's why I find him and Eugenio Suarez so fascinating playing alongside one another, because they're so vastly different with such vastly different expectations. And that's what I love about Ellie's game. You know, I find Suarez almost boring. Don't get me wrong. Like, a home run or nothing, to me, that's boring. You know, to me, that's boring. You know, hitting home runs is fun. We love to watch it. We love to see those 3 runs pop up on the board, you know, in an instant swing. But I find Ellie the most fascinating. To me, even if Ellie doesn't hit a home run, he's more fascinating to me. And we want Ellie to live in that box of knock the ball to the ballpark, knock the ball to the ballpark. I mean, I'm not going to complain when Ellie hits a home run, but I don't want him to be a home run hitter and that's it. I would take less power and more dominance in so many other levels offensively for Ellie than to him being a Eugenio Suarez type player that it's all power and that's about it. But to Suarez's credit, he's driving in runs. He only has 2 home runs, 9 games in, but he's hitting 235. It's weird that I'm saying that, but 2025 and 6 has taught us that, hey, the average isn't everything right now, but is he getting on base? Is he getting hits? Is he driving guys in? And he's doing that. He just needs to stop freaking striking out so dang much. Man. All right, I want to talk NFL when we come back. All right, the Bengals have a lot of needs defensively, right? They have a lot of needs defensively. And they added some key pieces defensively in the offseason through free agency. But they didn't make a ton of moves defensively. So you sit back and think, oh, man, they're definitely going to attack this defense in the draft, which makes sense. But there's one name that's not a defensive player that visited the Cincinnati Bengals today, according to Ian Rappaport. And I'm kind of curious about it. I'm kind of curious what your reaction would be if this guy's name was called with the Bengals' number 10 pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. We'll discuss it when we come back. It's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Text phone, by the way. Text phone to 937-518. We have about 20 minutes left for the 4 o'clock hour. It's 4:36 here in the Miami Valley. Text 4:37 now. Text phone to 937-518-1410 for your chance to win $1,000. We'll be right back.
Gold demand is skyrocketing to record highs. As more Americans rush to preserve their savings, will there be enough gold? I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe physical gold is the only way to truly protect your 401k or IRA savings. Gold offers tangible security that can't be tracked, stolen, or inflated. That's why I strongly advocate for gold IRAs. To learn more, text the word SECURE to 989898 now. Birch Gold Group will send you a free info kit on gold IRAs. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, and their thousands of great reviews prove I'm not alone. So don't wait another second. Protect your retirement savings today and see how easy it is to move your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals. Text SECURE to the number 989898 for your free gold IRA info kit. Again, SECURE to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
Pros, just because something on the job runs out doesn't mean you have to. Order it on the Lowe's app. My Lowe's Pro Rewards members get free same-day delivery on eligible orders over $25. Get the fasteners, hardware, or tools you need to keep the job moving. Order by 2 p.m. and get eligible in-stock items delivered right to your job site by 8 p.m. Members get more at Lowe's. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Subject to availability. Restrictions and terms at Lowe's.com/shipping terms. Subject to change.
Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs. For protection on the road and on the water. See how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
Upgrade to a new quality bath remodel in less time with minimal inconvenience and for less money with Bath Creations in as little as 2 days. We do it right. There are a lot of others boasting about bath remodels these days. Well, Bath Creations' expert craftsmanship and customer service speaks for itself. Plus, all first responders, veterans, and active military will save an additional $500 off your purchase. Visit our beautiful showroom at 8741 North Kimmel Road in Clayton or at mybathcreations.com and upgrade your new bath today.
Get ready to save big during the Hustler Spring Sales Event from April 15th through May 31st. Save up to $350 off the Raptor Series and up to $550 off the Fast Track Series zero-turn mowers at participating Hustler dealers. Engineered and tested for long-lasting performance, Hustler mowers are designed to keep you mowing season after season. Visit Small Engine Service Pros on Route 235 in New Carlisle and shop the Hustler Spring Sales Event today. Offer valid April 15th through May 31st, 2026, or while quantities last. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
Exactly, Stephen A. He's been here for 10 years, and we're still trying to figure him out. The Justin Kenner Show, weekdays at 3 p.m., right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, and we are back. It is 4:40 here in the Miami Valley. It's the Justin Kenner Show. Text phone to 937-518-1410. Text phone to 937-518-1410. I told you guys earlier I have ADD really bad. And it's fun because I get to see when the texts come in. So, like, when we drop out that Q word, I mean, like right now, since I just said that, we went for that keyword phone. We went from 42 entries, and we're sitting at 65. So just in that couple minute span, 20 entries just came in just from that moment right there. 26, and it keeps going up. Again, that's cool to see. Keep it coming. I appreciate it. When you hear that winning word, text it to the station hotline 937-518-1410. Text phone to 937-518-1410. As far as that's concerned. And I appreciate those who do text the station, whether it's participating in these contests or text me your thoughts on any of our teams. And I say our teams. I'm not a Bengals fan, but, they are my team from a professional standpoint of doing this job here in Dayton, having to talk about your Cincinnati Bengals, our Cincinnati Bengals. So there you go. But real quick, before we get to that, a couple things have happened today. One thing in particular has happened that I think the Bengals should keep an eye on. Let's start with this. We know that defensively the Bengals have to be super aggressive, or that they needed to be super aggressive this offseason, and I think that they accomplished that. You guys know I don't like the structure of the contracts of how they went about doing it because the Bengals still run they run very archaic as far as that goes, but you cannot deny, I can't deny, even if I am what you say I am, the Bengals' biggest hater out there, even the biggest hater, Justin Kenner, cannot sit here and say that they are not better than they were a year ago. They are better than they were a year ago because they added veteran pieces through free agency that, you didn't have to rely on your front office to draft and develop because this team can't draft and they can't develop for whatever reason. I don't know what's changed in recent years, but they have not been able to consistently evaluate and scout and draft and develop, and it's just been horrific. But they are better, and what that means for the Bengals next season, I don't know. But I did find it interesting because the Bengals, although they did make a few moves defensively in free agency, you could tell that they left a lot of meat on the bone. You could tell that this is going to be a rebuild defensively through the draft. Like they are forcing themselves to go young on defense so that they can continue to stockpile money on offense. Whether it be improving, and again, this is the first time in Joe Burrow's career where he's going to have the same offensive line back-to-back seasons. Okay. It's not a great offensive line, but it was just good enough to make them feel confident that they can keep it together and take it in. They got the deal done with Risner. They got an Orlando Brown Jr. extension done. That's a solid O-line. It's not great for as fragile as Joe Burrow is. I think they need a better offensive line, but it is what it is. You invested a ton into Joe Burrow, rightfully so. You invested a ton into his pass catchers. Chase Brown's another guy that's going to, you're going to be looking at him to get a deal done here in the near future. But the Bengals have been so obsessed with locking up Joe Burrow's weapons that I think that there's one more move that they can make that you would know what the Bengals offense would look like for the next 3 or 4 years, or at least the next 2 to 3. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins will be Joe Burrow's receivers for the next 2 to 3 years at least. This offensive line, they got a good chunk of this offensive line down to where you know what this line's going to look like for the next 2 or 3 years. Chase Brown's about to be due for an extension, and you know that he's going to be your running back for the next 2 or 3 years. All right. And, Eric All, by the way, I'm a big Eric All guy. I thought it was dumb of the Bengals to draft him just because the Bengals put themselves in a position that they have to draft perfectly and that they can't afford to ignore red flags. They ignored the red flag on the injury history of Eric All because they just thought, well, that wouldn't happen to them. And sure enough, it did. Eric All's coming back. And Eric All, I think, is going to be a stable tight end option for them moving forward. So I'm curious to see how that's going to pan out in Cincinnati. But they could still become more explosive. And the way to become more explosive offensively is to become more balanced. Bengals fans get so mad at me when I point out the fact that from a statistical standpoint, the Bengals are one of the worst rushing teams in football. Chase Brown is not one of the worst running backs in football. His numbers are pretty solid. But as a team, they can't run the football. Now, I should say can't or won't. Zach Taylor, I know you put a lot of money. The front office has put a lot of money into the wide receiver room, but I don't really care. The Philadelphia Eagles put a lot of money into their wide receiver room, and yet they're one of the most balanced teams in all of football, and they've won a Super Bowl. They've been to multiple Super Bowls and have won a Super Bowl because of it, even with the likes of an A.J. Brown and with the like of Devontae Adams. Now, the problem is, or Devontae Smith, the problem with Philadelphia is, are they a balanced offense because they believe that that's what hard-nosed, fundamental defensive football is all about, offensive football is all about, or is it because they're forced to because of the limitations of Jalen Hurts? I have a hard time and what I'm struggling with is if Joe Burrow was the quarterback in Philadelphia, would they still run the football as much as they do? I would like to think yes, but I still think that some of the struggles are not really struggles, but the deficiencies of Jalen Hurts has led the Eagles to become more balanced. But I think balance is what you have to be. And I think that the Bengals, until they get this defense right, they have to stop being so pass heavy because you have to find a way to keep your offense, as much as you want to get your offense off the field because you want to score quickly, you need to keep that offense on the field as much as possible to eat up as much as time as possible to keep that defense off the field to screw things up. How many times have we seen the Bengals just march down the field on 5 or 6 plays, score, and then the defense turn right back around and counter and, give up a score on 5 to 6 plays of their own? The Bengals have to find a way to become more balanced offensively, and not just, balanced, but explosive. And I think you become more explosive by becoming more balanced. And the way to do that is to not lean into the pass game now, but to find a way to lean into the run game. I thought this was fascinating earlier today. Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love had already scheduled and completed visits with the likes of the Titans, who have the 4th pick, and the Giants, who have the 5th pick. And earlier today, he headed to Cincinnati for a visit with the Cincinnati Bengals, who picked 10th. So why would the Bengals, who have a small team as it is, they don't have, they don't have a big enough team to welcome in all these guys for these workouts. If they're working out, they're interested. And I think that if their top targets from a secondary and pass rush standpoint are off the board at number 10, let's say that this draft becomes very defensive heavy up top and shifts that way, and it very well might. I could see the Bengals saying, well, do we take the best defensive player available or the best player available? And they believe, and I believe, and I agree with them, Jeremiah Love, if he's available at 10, I wouldn't be that critical of the Bengals if they decided to go running back at 10. As crazy as that sounds, I love jumping on the Bengals case as much as anyone. But if on draft night, if Jeremiah Love is there, and the Bengals just had him in for a visit today, if he is there, I wouldn't mind the Bengals taking him. Now, I would mind it as a Browns fan because I don't really want them to get a dominant running back. But can you imagine that duo of Jeremiah Love and Chase Brown? That running back duo with Joe Burrow at quarterback, with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. The Bengals have to find a way to become more balanced. I get so tired of hearing you fans say, you don't spend money on a running back when you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Oh, that's all the more reason to draft and spend money on running backs. Them ignoring the run game aspect of their offense, along with how bad the defense has been, is one reason why they've been out of the playoffs for 3 years, and one reason why Joe Burrow has still yet to win a Super Bowl. Josh Allen doesn't even nearly have the weapons that Joe Burrow does, but my goodness, he plays on a way more balanced team, and he's won an MVP. He's in the playoffs every year, and he's constantly in contention. Lamar Jackson is a very underrated passer. He's statistically one of the best passers in the league, no matter how many critics, including me at times, wanted to tell you that he wasn't. He's one of the best passing quarterbacks in the NFL. So why did the Ravens go get Derrick Henry when they actually had a very good defense on top of it? Because it's all about being balanced. You had Lamar Jackson, a multiple-time MVP winning quarterback, explosive arm, explosive legs, and what'd you do? You went out and got the best running back in the NFL at the time in Derrick Henry. There you go. If you look at the Chiefs, have they financially invested into the running back room? Have they been as aggressive in the running? They haven't had to be. They've been very good at eyeing talent in the draft and those draft picks panning out. The Chiefs haven't had to, but it doesn't mean that they won't. The Chiefs haven't had to go aggressive at the running back room, but they haven't been put in a position to do it. I think that the Bengals, if Jeremiah Love is there, to take an explosive offense and now the only way you take the Bengals offense and make it scarier to me is to make it more balanced. If you balance out an offense with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Chase Brown, and you get a Jeremiah Love, to me, I think that's how you take the Bengals to that next level. That's how you take them to that next level. Yes, they need to improve defensively. That's a given. But if Jeremiah Love is there at 10, I don't think it's the craziest idea in the world. I see Bengals fans flipping their lid about why would they waste time? It's all about defense, defense, defense. Just because you take Jeremiah Love at 10 doesn't mean that you don't improve defensively later in the draft. Now, a lot of this is coming because you don't trust your front office, and neither do I. Don't get me wrong, but I get it. So who knows? But nonetheless, 518-1410. I am kind of curious your guys' thoughts when it does come to the Cincinnati Bengals and Jeremiah Love. Would you be against the Bengals taking Jeremiah Love, a running back, at 10? I don't think it's that crazy. I think Jeremiah Love can come in and be the best rookie running back in the NFL, and I think that he could be the best running back on the Bengals. I think he could be better than Chase Brown right off the bat. I have no problem if the Bengals went this route. In fact, as a fan of a rivaling team, I don't want the Bengals to go this route because I think that the only way to make the Bengals offense scarier is to make them balanced. The Ravens offense became even more scary when they added Derrick Henry, not because it was less Lamar Jackson. It was because there was more Lamar Jackson, technically, because there was more defensive attention being given to Derrick Henry. If the defenses have to focus so much on, stacking the box and having to take away the run game, and then that only makes Joe Burrow's job easier. And I think that the Bengals have been asked backwards in that for so long. We're going to ignore the run game because it's all about Joe, Jamar, and T. Well, imagine if you make it about the run game, how much it opens everything up for Joe Burrow, Jamar, and T. I don't think it's that crazy of an idea. The fact that he's made visits with the Titans who have a quarterback. He made visits with the Giants who have a quarterback. And then there's the Bengals who have a quarterback as well, yes, but they have so many flaws defensively. And yet they're looking at a running back. It's because I don't think that there is a defensive player that could potentially be available at 10 that would make as much of an impact for them right now than what adding a Jeremiah Love at running back would do for them at a rookie price. Jamar and T are locked up for years. That offensive line, you gave major extensions to a couple of the key pieces there. They're there for years. Joe Burrow's there for years. You get a deal done with Chase Brown, he's going to be there for years. And then you draft Jeremiah Love, and now you have him for years. Now the Bengals have their offense for years. And then every resource moving forward, it's all about defense. And I think that's how the Bengals stay in the hunt moving forward. No questions about the O-line moving. I mean, you could improve that. Don't get me wrong. But you have a lot of your main guys secured for years. Your receivers are secure. Your quarterback's secure. Chase Brown's about to be secure. And now you get a rookie running back as dominant as Jeremiah Love, and he's secure. Now, to me, it actually helps the defense because that means every waking moment for that front office is about that defense. And I think that could be a good thing. Instead of, well, we can't pay him because we got to pay Jamar. Well, those guys are paid already. Now it's just about this. I don't think it's that crazy. 937-518-1410. You can call or text to jump in on the conversation as far as that's concerned. But I like that. I like it. In fact, let me go. I know that they had the mock draft the other day that came out, and I forgot where they had Jeremiah Love going. So we'll kind of comb through this or whatever. But either way, I am fascinated to see where they have Jeremiah Love going. Obviously, I don't think anyone out there is actually going to put, the Bengals taking him. But I would find it fascinating to see where they do have Jeremiah Love. And sorry if I'm not finding it. You guys know how I feel about Caleb Downs. I don't think he's going to be there at 10. I don't think, you could talk about some of the potential guys that are there as far as defensive backs are concerned for the Bengals, but the bottom line is anyone that they take at number 10 going to elevate them as much as what taking Jeremiah Love would? That has to be the question that you ask if you're a Bengals fan. Either way. Chad says on YouTube, offensive line is worse at run blocking than they are at pass blocking, in my opinion. And obviously that's going to be something that they have to address and fix. We shall see. We'll talk more about this on tomorrow's show. I don't think it's that crazy of an idea. Jeremiah Love in Cincinnati. Don't love it. But I'm not a Bengals fan. What say you? All right, everybody, have a great rest of your night. Reds baseball coming up later on, 6:40 the first pitch, 6:10 pregame coverage begins. You have 5 minutes left this hour. Head to wingam.com and enter the winning word. Why am I drawing a blank? I guess if I had the sheet in front of me. Man, that was embarrassing. I had it all ready to go. Phone. Duh. You still have 5 minutes to head to wingam. I'm sorry. See, I just screwed all this up. I'm so used to the other way we used to do it. Get your phone out and text phone to 937-518-1410. Text phone to 937-518-1410. My bad, guys. I've screwed that up. But tomorrow, will we be talking about the Big Ten ending a drought? Will Michigan win a national championship tonight, or will Dan Hurley win his third in 4 years? Excited to see what happens. Good one tonight. Good one. And the national championship game for college basketball. Until tomorrow, it's the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.